Hi, welcome to Z Gadget Review. Phil Spencer did an interview with The Verge, a couple of days ago, and I did a couple of videos that came out from that interview. You'll see one here, and you'll see the other one here. Hopefully, the timing is right. He was asked about the DualSense and improvements that Sony has done to the DualSense on the PS5, all the features that they have added, and all that. And this is the answer that he gave. The Xbox controller has kind of become a default, even outside of gaming scenarios, which is always bizarre to me. I'll see somebody controlling a robot, and they're using an Xbox controller somewhere in an enterprise scenario. That's something where we have to think about superset, subset. Not all of our controllers have all exactly the same capability. The Elite has the buttons on the back and stuff. I don't think it precludes us. There is something about the common expectation that people have of our controller and its ubiquity that's out there that I think is a string. It doesn't keep us from innovating. Clearly, we do have to think about all of the use cases that are out there. We can't turn the controller inside out because there's so much expectation about the way it should work now. We can innovate on top of that, and we're going to look at what any other company does and learn from it and see if it's something that we want to apply to what we're doing. What kind of answer is this? Like it's like saying, "Hey, cars run on gas, and people expect cars to run on gas, so we're just gonna continue making cars that run on gas." This isn't how innovation works, right? So I understand what he's saying. The Xbox controller, I will say, starting with the Xbox 360 controller, became something that everybody used for different things. People use it to play games on PC. People use it, of course, with the console. People use it in the military. People use it, like he says, with robots and drones. And it's an easy control to use. It fits perfectly in your hands, feels good, it's responsive, all of that. If you look at the controller from the Xbox 360 to the controller to the Xbox One, there isn't a huge difference. There's a little bit of difference, but it's not a huge difference. And I think that's okay. But the Xbox One controller in the triggers had rumble, which the Xbox 360 controller didn't have. I don't think everybody uses the rumble on the controllers for every single thing that they do, but it's there, right? The technology is built into the controller, so if you want to use it, you can use it. No one is saying to change the form factor of the controller. Personally, I'm glad that Sony finally changed the controller on the PS5 because the DualShock controller wasn't good. I didn't like how it felt. It felt too small. The buttons felt too close. I don't know. Every time I held that controller, it just didn't feel right. In my hands, it always felt small. And for some reason, the Xbox controller always felt good. And clearly, I'm not the only person, because if I was the only person, then this controller wouldn't have become what he's saying that has become, what that is used in different industries. Part of innovation was changing the controller from the original Xbox. I mean, I have the box of what the Xbox controller used to look like right there, right here. I feel like I can probably take it out. I was able to get it. All right. So if you see here, this is an exact replica of the Duke. This is what the first Xbox controller looked like. See it there? All right, if I can focus in. Focus, camera. Focus. There you go. So that's what the controller used to look like. You see that? It's big. It's huge. Okay. They added shoulder buttons because the shoulder buttons didn't exist on the original. So you can use it with modern consoles. But the shoulder button didn't exist. So, and this part used to have a space for memory. It used to have the memory slot. Doesn't have that anymore. So, but this is, other than that, it's pretty much exact same controller. And I've tried playing games with this thing recently since I got it. And it's fun, to reminisce and to remember what it was like to play games. But this controller isn't the best controller to play games with. Like, it's like to reach the shoulder buttons, like the amount of, see how extended my fingers are to reach this? Like, it's not comfortable. So This controller had to go. This controller didn't serve the purpose that it needed to serve, which was to make gaming easy and for the thing to fit in people's hands. Not everybody has big hands like I do, so the controller doesn't fit for everybody. Like if your fingers are short, to reach up here or to reach down here, it's not going to work. Then they came out with the Xbox 360 controller, which sadly I don't have here with me. I thought I did, but I can't find it. I don't know where it is. It became smaller. Here's an image of it, and it felt good. It fit in most people's hands. It was easy to use. Then they came to the Xbox One controller. And this is what it looks like. It is not that huge difference from the Xbox 360. Pretty much has the same shape. The buttons are in the same place. It's a little smaller. The triggers are softer to press and clickier. But you know what's in here in these triggers right here? Do you know what it's on the triggers? The triggers have rumble. So when you're playing games and you're pressing things, you not only feel the rumble in the handle part of the controller, but you also feel it on the trigger. You feel it when you play Forza and the car is sliding. You can feel it on the triggers. So guess what, Phil Spencer? This was innovation. This was an update over the Xbox 360 controller. Now, nobody went and said, oh my God, what did you do with this controller? No one can use it now. You destroyed the controller that everybody uses. No, you added features to that controller because it was a next-gen controller. It was a next-gen gaming. And you added the rumbles to the triggers in order to be able to feel what you were playing. And you know what? Who told me that? Phil Spencer told me that in person. When I got the Xbox One console in LA, he walked me through the stations and he showed me some of the games. And he's the one that pointed out the rumble on the triggers when I was playing Forza. And he told me this is the reason why. This is what we're trying to do with the controller. It was really cool. And now we have the Xbox Series X controller. Doesn't look that much different from the Xbox One controller. There are some differences though. When you put them side to side or on top of each other, I don't know how you want to do it. Here, let's do it on top of each other. When you put them on top of each other, the Xbox One controller is a little bigger than the Xbox Series X controller. Just a little bit, okay? The handle part right here, this is a lot closer. The opening here is closer, so your hands rest here, and you have more access to the buttons. Like just the triggers feel different. They're not as clicky. They have more bounce. They go back more. Same thing with the shoulder buttons. The shoulder buttons don't go all the way down like these ones do. They added, of course, the share button. Why? Because people are sharing things more now than they used to. So videos, pictures, all those things. So you got to make it easier for the user. So they added that share button. Everything else, and they changed, obviously, the D-pad. But everything else in the controller is pretty much the same, including the rumble and the triggers that they added last gen to make you feel more immersed in the games. But now, for some reason, oh no, the controller is being used for different people for other things, so we cannot innovate over this controller. What? Excuse me? Why? Why couldn't you? No one's changing. No one's saying change the way this controller looks. Okay, look, you made a next gen controller, which isn't very next gen to tell you the truth, that looks exactly the same as the last controller. You know what you could have done on this controller? You could have added all the features that Sony has on the DualSense. And you know what? You had other generations where people have played around with a controller. The Wii, for example, did things in the controller. They had the little speaker in it that you could hear sounds and things. The Switch, same thing, has a bunch of features on it. The rumble that you could feel the balls moving when you play those little games that were created just so you could play around with a controller and get all the little features of the controller. Is a gimmick? Yes, 100%. Agree with you. It's gimmicky. But at the same time, when developers have the choice and they can add those features to their games to make the game more immersive, then stops being a gimmick and it becomes a part of an experience. And there are developers that are doing that. Call of Duty, you can feel the difference on when you press the trigger. depending on the gun. Rainbow Six Siege, that is getting an upgrade to next gen on December 1st, it's going to add different feelings to the trigger on the PS5 depending on the gun that you have. So you can tell the difference, not only on that aspect, but when you're doing single shots or multiple shots on the weapon that you have. So now this is becoming a feature that is going to add to the experience of playing games on the PS5 that Xbox owners aren't going to have, because Phil Spencer's saying, well, we cannot go and innovate with this because people have expectations of what this controller should be. People have expectations of what the controller should look like and should feel like. That is different than what the controller should be able to do. Because if you just give us the features that the PS5 controller has, it doesn't mean that every single person is going to use those features. Actually, something tells me that if you added those features, because people are so sold on that controller already, that they will pick up that controller no matter what and maybe use the features that you added to it because they have the choice. And that's the thing, you're not giving choice. You're taking away that choice from the players. You're taking away that choice from the developers. And I feel that Microsoft, Xbox, has been trying to make their brand into, hey, we give you the choice. Game Pass, it's all about choice. I mean, money, but the whole idea behind it is choice. xCloud, the whole idea is choice. That's what you're selling this generation, choice. But on the controller, you couldn't give us the choice because people are expecting something else. Sometimes I don't understand corporations. I just don't understand it. What do you think? Do you think Xbox lost an opportunity to improve their world famous controller? Do you agree with Phil Spencer? Let me know in the comment section. That's it for me. Go ahead and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. Go ahead and hit that bell so you can be alerted every time we have new videos. And thank you very much for watching.